it. But game number 2, Ollie, INTZ versus Santos. What are your initial feelings coming into this one?
INTZ versus Liquid, I'm a little bit concerned, honestly, Chunks, with the way that this weekend has gone so far. I'm a little bit concerned for INTZ, and I think that I'm probably not alone in that assumption. Obviously, we're dealing with a Liquid that's made a couple of changes. We're not dealing with the sort of all-star lineup that they are known to have had. They have had a couple of changes. They've lost both Sexy Cake and Moringa, and Ask and Resets have picked up for them. So it is one of those situations where, yeah, sure, we're dealing with not quite a fully forced Liquid in its original sense, but those two have already proved themselves to fit in quite well. And I think that even with that change, it's really going to be a tough day here for INTZ.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we got to talk about Liquid even a bit more, probably, Demo, because starting off the stage, they did really well with these new players, and it isn't just a case of it's the old Liquid that we're used to. It's definitely a very aggressive Liquid, and these new players have almost like lit a flame for Liquid, and they're just getting so aggressive now because of it.
Yeah, you look at Liquid, I think they went up against their two biggest rivals. I think you have to remember, NIP and FaZe back-to-back are not easy matches to play one after another, and this is where Liquid, Chunks, they have now easier games, I would say, for them.
Well, we will see. For anyone who isn't too familiar with the two teams, here's a quick intro into the matchup.
After a sense of defeat for FaZe Clan last Sunday, Team Liquid turned their attention to their next competitor, INTZ. Liquid's current focus, the maturity of their lineup. As much as the first week was not a disaster, Ask and Resets are still adapting to the team and to fans' expectations. With Sexy and Moringa in play, Liquid defeated INTZ in the last stage 7-4. But that doesn't necessarily relieve any pressure.
Enfrentamos a INTZ no Chalé, né? Foi até que um mapa não muito difícil, porque Chalé é um mapa de conforto, nossa, há um bom tempo, desde que lançou.
O confronto contra a Liquid foi um mapa que é muito bom deles, a gente sabia disso. A gente picou porque a gente arriscou realmente, a gente estudou muito bem eles, só que chegou na hora do jogo e não deu muito certo o que a gente estava planejando.
In theory, thanks to the changes on Team Liquid, INTZ can look at today's match with some confidence. The team didn't make a roster change during the transfer window. However, the team holds a complicated position in the standings. And because of the pressure felt on both sides, this match promises unparalleled tension.
O jogo contra a Liquid de hoje, a gente, como eles mudaram a line, a gente acredita que eles vão ter um período, uma fase de adaptação no time deles para se encontrar novamente. Eles vão estar um pouco mais, não tão preparados para essa partida.
Esse próximo confronto da INTZ vai ser um pouco mais disputado, porque a INTZ também deu uma mudada assim na mente deles ali, na parte tática, fiquei sabendo aí. Então o JB tá fazendo um ótimo trabalho, então os meninos vão vir fortes. Vamos ver, vai ser jogão.
The truth is that the position of Liquid in the table makes this open territory for points to be thrown away or desperately gained. For INTZ, a fast game could surprise and make the difference. But if they decide to bring the surprises, only time will tell. Don't miss this all-important face-off between INTZ and Team Liquid.
Well, it's going to be an exciting one. Two teams that are kind of at opposite ends of the leaderboard, Demo. We have to probably bring that up here. INTZ pretty far the way down. Liquid maybe a bit overconfident potentially if they are coming into this one, but we've seen it before in the past that teams down at the bottom of the leaderboards can really come out big and surprise us.
Yeah, that's true. I think we have seen that already so far this stage. We've seen the smaller boys kind of pipe up and have some words to say with the bigger guys, but I don't think it's more a case of overconfidence with Liquid going into this game. I think it's the expectation that they have. I think it's the expectations everyone has of this team. This is a side that should come in and should just sweep. I think what FaZe did against Black Dragons is a great representation of what we expect from the Big Six. They should go in and they should be winning games in that caliber.
Definitely. Maybe overconfident was the wrong word there, but it's definitely a lot of pressure on Liquid coming in as the clear favorites to this matchup. I do wonder, though, whether INTZ are going to have that same mentality that Santos have mentioned about having in the past, where they don't really feel pressure coming against the top-tier teams. Do you think that might be the case, Ollie?
I think it can be a case where the favourite team to win can be the one that's under a little bit more pressure. Something to note about Liquid in the way that they're performing at the moment is that despite them only playing 2 games, Palu still sits in second place for overall kill-death differential at the moment. He's currently +10, so he's really putting in quite a big shift. But if you look toward the other side of that, often you can't really mention Palu's name without bringing Nesk up as well. Nesk is really underperforming based on what we would expect him to in terms of, you know, his previous performances across stage 1 and stage 2. Inside of stage 3, Nesk really had a tough time of really hitting the ground running, so he's somebody that I'm going to be keeping an eye out on today just to see how he starts to sort of turn that around a little bit.
Yep. Let's take a quick look over at the map vetoes, though, and see exactly where we're going to be ending up. I do have to ask, look, Liquid coming in as the favorites. Do you think, Demo, this might be their opportunity to play a map that they're a bit weaker on typically, get a bit more practice on it, and maybe don't have as many VODs that INTZ are going to be able to review?
I think the fact that we're seeing a bank ban probably leads into that train of thought, I would say, Chunks. Bank, as we know, still new. Knowing Liquid, they're going to want to keep that until a big match comes their way. A match that has a lot of stakes going with it. So, yeah, I think it's definitely clear in that assumption. And now we're seeing another Clubhouse. So we went from having 0 Clubhouses to all of a sudden having 2 today. Again, middle of the road map. If both teams can't play Clubhouse, I worry. I think both teams will be able to play this fairly easily.
Yeah, and it feels like Clubhouse is a map that we do get played quite a lot, so both teams should have the VODs to review, Ollie. The question is now, who really has the wealth of them? Because you've got to think, INTZ have only played 1 so far this stage, whereas Liquid have played a lot more, and having those new players, it can maybe throw a spanner into the works when it comes to preparing for matches.
Yeah, I think Liquid are going to be the side that are not maybe pressured inside of this, but you've got to think, you know, if you've lost Sexy Cake and you've lost Moringa, you've lost 2 really big pieces of the puzzle for a map like Clubhouse. You know, Sexy Cake is renowned for getting that plant down. He also plays a lot of hard breach, whether it be Ace or whether it be Maverick. So they're 2 operators that are a staple here on Club. And that gap has to be filled by somebody. Now, for as well as we've seen Ask and Resets do so far, we've seen Liquid play, you know, Clubhouse, and it puts a little bit less pressure onto those roles. So again, I think it's somewhere that it's worth keeping an eye out for. Whilst Liquid go into this one as the favourites, it isn't going to be the Liquid that we're used to seeing on this map.
No, it's always interesting seeing how things do change, Demo. Let's talk about INTZ for a minute, though. Do you think we're expecting any big changes from them? Because obviously we have only seen them play once so far this stage, and obviously they are going to look to carry on racking up those points that they really desperately need right now. Do you think that a fresh stage means a fresh INTZ? Big changes coming along?
I mean, INTZ haven't had the greatest of times throughout both splits, only accumulating 20 points over the both of them. I think they had a rough day yesterday. Black Dragons versus INTZ should have been a lot closer than what it was. Black Dragons came in and dealt with INTZ extremely easily. As we know, of course, they were under some unfortunate circumstances. Chunks, we have to remember, they were playing with a stand-in and it didn't work out the greatest for them. Now they're with the full 5. Now they've got the main lineup. But does it get any easier? They're against Liquid. We have to come back to it. This is a massive challenge for INTZ today.
Absolutely it is. But you got to say, I mean, just looking at the player cams now, you can see they're in good spirits. They are feeling good about it. I mean, just look at Drunks right now. They are having fun with this one. I think it does lend into the train of thought, Ollie, that there maybe isn't as much pressure on them. They're coming in. They're feeling good about themselves. How big of an impact do you think that'll have starting off the game, just being upbeat and ready to go?
INTZ are going to have to come into this one, you know, as you say, in a mindset that they can take a couple of rounds here. And, you know, with the nature of Clubhouse, it isn't usual to see it go a 7-0, as we've just seen. You know, that's a little bit of an anomaly there that FaZe have given us. And it's something that really will skew the stat lines, given that a lot of those rounds were won on the attack as well. So there's equal opportunity here for INTZ, provided that they approach this in the right way. And I think Clubhouse, as Demo said, you've got to be a little bit worried if a team can't play it. It is a staple map inside of Siege. We might not have seen it much so far in the opening weekend of the BR6, but it's certainly rearing its head here in week 2.
Definitely. Let's take a look over at the game, though, because it's getting underway. Once again, Ollie, Demo, take it away.
Thank you very much, Chung. Second game of the night. INTZ versus Team Liquid. INTZ here starting off Clubhouse on the attacking side. Now, Demo, we know that attacking rounds can be won here on Club. FaZe demonstrated that very well previously.
We're going to see the same bans, though. Well, that's the question. Habana, there's 1 out of 2 checked off. Will we see the Thatcher? Yes, we will. Okay, so exact same circumstances with Habana and Thatcher being banned out. Basement becomes Fort Knox. Ain't nobody getting in.
I mean, tell that to Bullet.
You tell that to the security guards from Black Dragons, to be fair, I'd say.
I think they were sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Cade ban. Now, this is where things get a little bit different.
Now that's a lot easier. That's a lot easier. And now you don't really need Maverick as an insta-pick now, I would say. Sure, Bandit may be a thing, but Bandit's a lot easier to take care of than the Kite, because you can simply nade a Bandit or go below the Bandit and just eliminate him.
Yeah, the hatches become a lot less pressured. Impact Tricks is your next concern, though.
Mm.
And that's where a lot of pressure is now going to be, especially onto any sort of Ace or Thermite, Selma, or Exothermic Charge. That's what you're going to have to keep an eye out for there. We see Drunk's last second switching off the sledge. I imagine that he's going to 6-pick that into the Maverick, as he will do so. Honestly, for my money, I'd maybe bring the sledge and the Maverick and get rid of the book, you know? Bring those nades.
Those nades would be handy to have, but then again, maybe they want more utility with the flashbangs that you can get with the buck, perhaps. Maybe that's something they're after. Keep in mind, all the flashbangs went through a big change also.
They did, yeah.
So they're a lot more valuable now compared to what they used to be. So certainly can play off to make a big play if needed. And yeah, I would say they'll probably bring it just for the flashbangs in case there is any Renegates that they need to burn up, any ADSs that may be lurking. And you would expect to see the Buck entry in perhaps with somebody else. I wouldn't say that Buck's going to be your main entry, probably your second entry.
Liquid are going for a bit of a roam here, which isn't unusual. It doesn't look as though it's being very heavily invested into by reinforcements, though. We did have Ask playing upstairs on the mute at the start of the round, and he'll be placing out a couple of jammers and just giving a little bit of assistance to anybody that is going to be out there. East wall has been reinforced. Vitz can very easily open up the hatch into logistics and give his team options for later on. Soft wall into construction as well, so early options here for INTZ in terms of an approach. Ask has actually remained, and he's going to be playing on the catwalk. We've got Palu playing in below him. I'm not sure that Zach knows that Palu's going to be playing below. Palu just has dipped himself off into lounge now, as Ask is already seeing quite a lot of pressure here. What a C4! How has he made that one stick? Palu will be taken on out. Ask hits the double drop, gets himself all the way into blue along with reset. It's a 1-for-1 trade there to open things up.
SC for the season so far? I think yes, definitely. Like
Absolutely.
That's a long toss to hit, and he hit it perfectly. So very, very impressive stuff from Ask. What more could you ask from him? His name's too good for the puns. It really is. Way too good. But anyway, I mean, Liquid, they've got their first pick, and they're happy enough just to come back to site. They wasted around half the round to go. You can see INTZ now, they're going to have to double drone and re-drone things again, and they've done that, so now they have a minute 30 to carry out their push, but Impact still on the side of Nesk. Still has the impacts, can deny anyone going for kitchen. You can see now that Drunks is going to wisely open up the moto hatch, and they're probably going to try and stem, I think, for a church take.
Ness getting himself juiced up as well there with his healing station. Resets has one in behind the generator as well. No real need for Liquid to be challenging onto anything at the moment. Everybody just happy in their location. The kitchen hatch remaining reinforced as well is going to be a real big weight off Liquid's mind. The onus is really on INTZ now to get something done. Drunks is able to gather a little bit of information, but the question is, can he act on it? Now, VNX is going to open up into Dirt Tunnel and look to start pushing down, but we already know that Ask was occupying the entrance to the site previously, and if he's playing that angle close with a shotgun, it's going to be very difficult for VNX to really do anything about. Nesk is also in position for a trade here if things go wrong. and INTZ are just letting this clock tick on by. Asuka's got one thing on his mind, and that's going to be holding the angle, securing the kill, and getting that diffuser down. Neski's been able to pick up one onto Hornetau. Now it's all down to Vitz. He's got himself into Generator, but not for long. PSK going to swing with the shotgun and find that final kill. Liquid going to take round number 1.
Solid start for Liquid. Played it well, got the opening pick, wasted a bit of time, came back to site. The pressure of impact nades meant that Kitchen Hatch was always going to be reinforced still. Nobody was going to open that from the attacking side. And you can see that position that Nesk was in. He has so much room. If that hatch is not open, Ollie, that armory, you just have the freedom. You can peek left, you can peek right. You have so much room just to maneuver in. I think lack of information probably cost the INTZ in the end. We seen what happened to VNX as he was pushing down dirt. Didn't have any info if the player was inside of dirt, and as you've seen, he didn't know, and he got killed for it. So overall, Liquid just playing it very, very well, and you can see the pressure immediately, just how difficult that basement is to attack without your Habana and without your Thatcher. Well, not as a Thatcher's an issue now because Cade's banned, but still, point stands without Habana.
Yeah, without a big entrance like the one that Bullet was able to make, it is going to make things very difficult. You've got to win that off the back of gunfights, and you've got to hope that your team make a couple of mistakes. The defending team make a couple of mistakes and give you a few opportunities, but Liquid were in no such mindset to be making those mistakes. They were happy with the locations that they were holding, and they really were just letting the fight come to them. Great opening round here from Liquid. Now they move off. They're going to go upstairs into CCTV. Gives a slightly different puzzle here for INTZ to solve. Only going to be rocking the Thermite this time. Not choosing to bring the Ace as well. Especially with the bottom of Garage being fully reinforced. It does somewhat limit your options and your capabilities. Sure, you have the ability to hit the Maverick, but with that wall being quite messy, it's not the best location to be placing any sort of exothermic charge. You ideally want to try and remove that wall with the blowtorch and then get the buck in there, but instead we're going to see VNX. He is going to try and get that one open.
Yeah, only just a single mute jammer from Nesk being placed on that wall. And you also can see that Nesk, he's trying to defend the mute jammer also, and he's in the perfect position, and that's a little bit sloppy from INTZ. No drone work being done in towards the lounge. They have done very well though, Wally, to get 2 kills back, and they've also gained garage control, but still, probably a kill that would have been avoided if they just had a single drone downstairs in lounge.
Still plenty of drones available as well. They've got 8, so it's semi-unforgivable for that not to be known and for that not to be droned out for him. And all it would have taken would have been somebody on the window, and it would have been enough pressure for Nesk to have to dip on out of there. As it stands, INTZ have kind of got away with that one, and they're not in a terrible position now to try and get something done. They do still have PSK playing below with a Nitro cell, and he could be a bit of a problem. The hatch being open into construction as well allows him the opportunity to throw one all the way on through, but his location is also known. Able to make use of the rotation and move his way on out of there, just dipping behind the bar and likely getting himself up those main stairs. Ask now is going to be the next person to see a great deal of pressure at the top of those cash stairs.
INTZ now looking to push in for that execute, and VNX going to be unchallenged. That diffuser will go off. PSK is below a C4, but he has other worries to deal with. Will find Hornetau, goes to the C4, but he's too late to deny anything happening now, and INTZ are into a post plant, and they should be able to lock it out. Very difficult for defenders to really retake in towards the garage and retake into the heart of the bomb site. Olu and Ask, what can they do? Olu swings in, but he gets shut down. 2 players still stuck in catwalk. Ask finds one, but Drunks is ready with the refrag. That is great from INTZ. That is how you go for a plant. You burn out the utility, and you finally get the diffuser down. And it's so easy from that stance just to sit back and let the defenders panic.
INTZ made one mistake in that round, and it was very quickly rectified. Not droning out Ness could have been a disaster, but the fact that that kill went down as a trade so quickly really redeemed everything there that went wrong, and it actually gave them a little bit of an advantage, because where we saw Liquid wanting to play with C4s below in the form of Nesk and PSK, they were then really unable to do so because so much bottom floor control had been gained. Lounge was essentially in the hands of INTZ right from that moment. So a great second round there, and a good way for INTZ to find themselves onto the leaderboard. Already much more of a competitive game of Clubhouse. I don't mind seeing Clubhouse back-to-back, especially when one of them was a 7-0. I feel like we're really getting our money's worth now, Demo, if these two continue to go at it.
Straight away, Liquid going for a different bomb site, not wanting to go anywhere near that cash room again. But then again, they do take the cash room still. They're going to extend into a very, very default, nothing too out of the ordinary with how Liquid are setting up. That shield on the top of red stairs is also another staple of how you hold that cash room. It's just down to see how INTZ want to play it. It's all pressure from the attackers now. We know exactly what Liquid are up to. Nothing too crazy. It's just, will INTZ try and go direct? Maybe push it in from Jacuzzi, which, I mean, pushing it from Jacuzzi makes a lot of sense. Whenever you do have the bands that you're working with, whenever you're not up against the kite, it does make opening that wall very, very easy. VNX can walk over, open it up, no issues at all. If there is a mute jammer, they can bring the Maverick if they want to, or they can just simply nade it, or a Sophia charge can be used to explode the mute jammer. So, yeah, should be no issues at all, I think, for INTZ really formulating a plan.
Great angle being held by Ask there, and he's already managed to chunk Zach down to less than half. Zach having to rethink going in there entirely. The Zafir looking to get in and play a little bit of vertical from below is not going to be given free and easy passage. Instead, left to try and hold on to the flank. Now VNX is going to take advantage to one of the changes to the mute jammers in that they don't cover the entirety of the wall, and he'll give himself bit of a rotation option in through that construction side wall. It's progress, but it's slow progress so far from INTZ. Still well and truly in that information gathering portion of the round, but they've got a good couple of options to try and work with. They've got Jacuzzi open, they've got a line of sight and a rotation open into construction, and they've got the logistics hatch, so plenty of options for them to start to try and work with here.
They'll take into bathroom also. That's a wall that definitely can be opened up quite easily. There's no pressure being applied right now from Liquid onto the breach anyway. Hey, Nesk has to try and dodge that one. Oh, Zach, perfect timing. Slips up the main stairs, and Brunks is going to try and support him. So Liquid in a very tricky position. Three of them stacked up in the corridor. Paulu pulls out the shotgun, but INTZ are starting to execute their plan, and they flood the bomb site. No remorse being shown to the Liquid players whatsoever. PSK will battle back with one kill, and Ask on that doorway has to make this kill count, and a nade will be cooked and tossed over towards that door frame. Flashbangs also to try and give some cover. Diffuser has not been planted as of yet. It's still cold on the ground, and I think Liquid know that. I think Liquid know they don't have the control of the diffuser, and they have time to try and regroup and figure out what they want to go for. A flashbang tossed in. PSK has to dodge that. Vitz holding firm, finds PSK, he knows exactly where the other one is. Ask does a bit of damage, but Vitz still finds his man nonetheless. INTZ, another great round.
Another really good execute there by INTZ, just picking their time perfectly. They got fortunate there with that nice little opener. Zach played a blinder, not only keeping himself alive after his opening engagement, but the timing at which he was able to rotate up that main stairs really works out for him. Now, obviously, he's not to know that Nesk is going to have a magnet in his hand at the exact time that he peeks on through, but you've got to be on the pitch to score the goal, and he was in the right place at the right time. It provided a really good little entryway, and then INTZ could just relax into all of the angles that they had already previously opened up. Bit of a flood in through that Jacuzzi side, stack the top of those main stairs, and pretty much all the kills going on in and around that logistics area to close out the round.
Liquid. Bit of an issue there with those two top floor defenses, but and they go back downstairs. This is the defense that we expect to see them win. Seen them do it last time. INTZ really know what they could go for. That kitchen hatch being reinforced the entire round. It gave Nesk a lot of breathing room for him to play around with. Resets, player that we highlighted last week, Ollie. Having the greatest of games so far. 0-3 still yet to get off the board.
Not ideal, especially from your Vigil player. You're going to want a little bit more out of him on that role. Good to see Nest hitting his stride, though. 3 and 2. He was a player that I highlighted moving into this game that hasn't had the greatest of stage so far, albeit we've only seen a couple of games played, but still, you're pretty much used to seeing him in that upper echelon of players, and he just isn't there at the moment. But with a performance like this, if it maintains and keeps on going, he could see some rise in those ratings. Palu as well, a player that we look to for quite a lot of kills, is currently 1 and 3, and again, not really a position that we used to see him occupy. So we'll have to see how they progress over the course of the game. It's certainly worth keeping an eye on. Something that INTZ have done a little bit differently inside of this round as well, Demo, is they've actually brought 3 hard breaches. They've opted for the Ace as well as the Thermite and the Maverick.
Yeah, really, I would say tripling down on the hard breach at the moment for INTZ, which is surprising considering that Tide isn't a thing. Usually that would mean that you have a bit more room to work with. Again, maybe you don't need the Maverick all too often, but hey, if they just think it's a comfort pick for them, obviously bring the nades as well, which is always going to be handy. And sure, by all means, go for it. It's this roam game being set up again upstairs, and this is where we look to reset, so really have a pop-off round. Ollie, he's on the Vigil, like you said. You expect him to get these kills, but INTZ themselves, they're the ones getting the kills. Zach finds 2 in quick succession and resets, almost bites the bullet. And I fears if he might also, yes he will, gets caught trying to come back to site, and that's a 2 versus 5, PSK and Paulu. What can they do? Paulu, he was lurking over towards Strip Club, and oh, can't even find that kill on the Drunks, and he himself gets slaughtered. INTZ are really amping up to the next level, Ollie. We have not seen this INTZ so far this stage, but now we're starting to see them really come into fruition. They have just dismantled Liquid limb from limb.
They really have. I mean, PSK has got a fighting chance here in that he's alive, but really you got to ask for how long. Drunks eventually going to pick that final kill up. The plant was going down as well, but as soon as Drunks heard that hatch drop, he was on him. And, well, INTZ, what can you say? You could almost see the communication there, that round, Demo, with the way that they were able to not only refrag off one another, but the call-outs, the way that information was being exchanged at lightning speed. It was great to see. INTZ were really backing one another up there. Obviously, it was helped by the fact that Zach got himself 2 kills to open up the round. It happened off-screen. We didn't actually get to see where that was or the circumstances around it, and that's obviously given a big swing. And at that point, as Liquid, you're thinking, well, we probably should be getting ourselves back to the site. Resets and Palu, they don't even get halfway. They get cut off at the top of those main stairs. And PSK, well, you know, 1vx, it's always going to be a tough retake.
Well, it's going to be difficult. So, yeah, Liquid. I mean, I don't exactly know where Zach entered in from to find that double kill. Obviously, we were looking at resets. So we kind of thought, oh, this is a big round for him now. He needs to go in pretty hard in the Vigil, but he himself gets dropped, couldn't really do much. The support dies around him, and yeah, not much else he can do. So we go back downstairs once again from Liquid. It looks as if they're resorting back to their first defense, Ollie. You can see Neski's back on the Thunderbird rather than the Melusi, so maybe they're going to try and play things out the first time, rather than try and change things up, you know, drastically.
Quite possibly. Thunderbird is really a lot more popular than I think you or I anticipated, Demo, in that we've seen them brought quite often. And especially for this sort of a site, I mean, you just think about what else you would bring. You just bring the Wamai. You know, you're sure you've got the Jaeger, but you could bring the Wamai as well. And Wamai is a great option for trying to hold on to that catwalk. But it isn't going to be the case. Instead, we're going to see those Thunderbirds placed out. No one really out there on the roam here for Liquid. They're kind of learning from the mistakes, and we'll see if it does them any favors here. They're just going to try and stack the site and, as you said, hold in the way that has worked for them so far. They picked up one round, it was on this site, and it was with this same hold.
This time INTZ are in a lot quicker than what they once were before. Whether that's going to pay big for them or not. Still don't know if they're going to commit to the kitchen. Again, that hatch being reinforced the last time that Liquid went for this site setup. was very easy for Nesk just to simply tiptoe around and pick up his kills as they fall. Zach, waiting for that LMG onto blue. I mean, it's, I think, just trying to find out information as well as they can. Reset. Come on, is this going to be the round for him? It's the big round. It's tense at the moment, Ollie. Really don't know where this is going to go.
They're doing a good job of wasting a lot of time here, and the pressure really is on INTZ to try and make something happen. You don't have as many opportunities for nice little entries or nice little picks when everybody on the defensive side is stacking the site. And that's really what we're seeing here and now. Hornetau going to drop on through, burn the Aruna, not quite burn the Aruna gate, must got shot just prior. Drunks has chosen to go down and peek himself down long, just misses out on the chance at a couple of shots as he was too busy trying to throw the grenade on down. Isn't going to deal any damage out, and Nesk now knows that there's players occupying that bottom of main stairs area. Zach needs to pick his time very carefully here to rotate down into blue. One of his lifelines does get eaten up by the ADS. A long angle can still be held here, but INTZ slowly but surely being chipped on down. Ask is going to find the opener this time as the site is going to be flashed, but VNX, is he going to be able to successfully make that drop? Nesk, he's going to take out onto Drunks' Hornetau. He's trying to creep his way down, but he's getting collapsed upon by the might of Liquid Vits. The only player remaining. He's going to be inside a kitchen. Maybe finds himself a second here, but it never is going to come to too much. PSK was already on his way up the stairs, and if not, time was going to do the rest. Liquid, they finally pick up another round here.
Much better from Liquid. You can see that strategy worked a lot better for them. I think Nesk was being enabled a lot more in that scenario. We've seen him pick up, what, 2 kills instead of that round, so yeah, been doing pretty good so far for Liquid, but then they have to go to another bomb site that they have not won. The only 2 defenses Liquid have won have been on that bottom floor, which is expected considering the bans. So they need to really dig deep, Ollie, and I think they need the even split. They need this.
Yeah, you'd hope to be coming away with an even split at least here on Clubhouse, and there's still the chance for that. We think back to previously when we saw INTZ attacking this site, and it was a very well executed push. They were able to get the plant down. They were able to, I think they finished in a 1v3 or something like that. They really did a great job of getting all the early jobs done to give themselves the options for later on inside of the round. And nothing really causing too much problem. It's crazy what one single Cade ban can do, you know, regardless of the Hibana ban. It kind of neutralizes that fact if Cade is removed as well, so it's a great play from INTZ. But of course, if Liquid do come out of this in an even split, then the sides do switch, and we see how Liquid are able to take advantage of the bans and what they would like to do with them.
Definitely advantages for Liquid, where they don't have to really worry about the Kaid ban whenever they move on to the attack, of course. That'll be only good for them. So INTZ, now you're attacking on towards this cash room. Last time they were Ollie. Fairly standard for INTZ. I think a little bit of sloppiness downstairs and Lange. McNess got an absolute freebie downstairs. A little bit of drone work will go a long way for them, but they hit Garage with a lot of momentum. They hit it hard and it worked so well for them. Wonder if they can recreate that this time. Again, INTZ, maybe they're off lurking, maybe trying to take in towards bedroom perhaps, be a construction take, Ollie, which we haven't seen in a while.
I feel like INTZ almost need that similar situation to go wrong, air quotes, downstairs, so that they're able to, you know, try and refrag off the back of it, because regardless of what happened, it actually worked out really well for them, and that's just because of the way that they're able to trade off one another at the minute. They're playing really well together. And Nesk has made some changes and some adaptations here. He's actually got a deployable shield inside a lounge, and it's given him so much more to peek from. You can hold that area a lot more forwardly. Vits, unaware of PSK inside of the site. Paolo, he's going to be able to take down Hornetau as well. Now, Nesk has been downed, but I think he's going to be able to get himself picked up here. The drone is going to say otherwise, though. Zach, fantastic prioritization there. Takes down Ask, finishes off Nesk. As 2 kills get traded for 2.
Resets and catwalk. Difficult position to play in. Need him to step up here in that position. You see that's Rinser looking to put their attention towards VNX. Being slowed down by those mute jammers and has to put the Thermite charge just a little bit up from the reinforcement where he would like it to be. That means he doesn't get an actual walk-in hole. It's going to have to be now a bit of a jump in, which could give himself away. Could give some information over the resets as that animation does come in. 40 seconds. A lot of pressure on them. VNX just scrolls on in and Reset sees one, but Zach is waiting. A great hints onto the man in catwalk, and this is where I think INTZ can really come alive and carry out this execute.
They've still got time remaining for it as well. 20 seconds is going to be enough time for them to push on through. And with the way that they are located and positioned, they could very well get the plant down here. That's going to help immensely, though. Palu neutralizes Drunks, moving up those cash stairs. VNX is going to be getting the plant down. The C4 will be ripped, but instead it does not land. There's 4 seconds, and the plant will still continue to go. Can the covering fire be held? Palu, he's going to be able to pick up one onto Zach. And the time does run out. We do see the player just hopping off that plant right at the last second, knowing that there was nothing left to do.
Palu, massive step up from him that round. Getting the kill into the man pushing up red stairs, and then finally getting that trade-off in the end. But, I mean, Liquid did well to pull that back. I think they played that 2v2 perfectly, Ollie, in my eyes. Using the C4 bait a bit of time. Knowing if the C4 doesn't connect, they have to get that kill into the man in breach. And they did just that. So, very well done by Liquid, as we said. And INTZ, you thought we're in a good standing there, but losing that man in red stairs, didn't have enough pressure, didn't have covering fire enough. Maybe would you have liked that man in red stairs rotating a catwalk to give another angle of cover, perhaps? But it is what it is.
An equal 3-all split then. I think Liquid have done a good job there to... I don't want to use the word salvage, but it felt like they were trying to salvage the rounds there as the time really ticks on by. I think INTZ have displayed themselves incredibly well there on the attack. Now things switch around as we see INTZ. They're going to be on the defense here. Liquid moving themselves onto the attack. 3 hard breaches being brought as well. Palu going to be playing the ace. It's not a sight that we get to see every day, Demo.
Not at all. I'd say this stage has been interesting. I would say a lot of teams that we've kind of watched, I think they've kind of broke their molds of playstyles as well.
Yeah.
I think Team 1 have looked very different than kind of what they even played at Mexico. Obviously, I think FaZe have really went with a more confined look. It's not as I like to use the word crazy, Ollie, but I think they've been a lot more reserved and a lot more structured. I think Liquid, you can see the effect of the new players. It gives them a little bit more aggression compared to their more slow, methodical playstyle that we've seen. So, it's just been an interesting season.
It certainly is, and you know, new players are always going to force a bit of a change up in the team's fundamentals, and if this is how it manifests itself, then so be it. It's good to see Nesk back on the Zephyr. I know it's an operator that he shied away from for a little bit of time after the nerf to the main AR, but he's going to be rocking the LMG here, and as we've already seen today, the LMG can do bits. Bullet was able to put it to fantastic use on this map only an hour or so ago. First kill, however, will go in favour of INTZ. Vitz is able to shut resets down from inside of Oil Pit. That initial garage-sided push not really working out as Liquid would have liked. It's going to slow them down somewhat, as losing the bulk it removes a lot of ability to get open the floor inside of Kitchen. Can just make that Kitchen hatch a little bit more difficult to get a hold of.
Losing that first blood is going to be difficult. Resets. Really rough day for him. 0-6. Impact has not been there from him this game. Really relying on his other 4 teammates to almost carry him through these rounds at the moment. So Liquid, where are they going to try and stem their flow from? This, again, going to be difficult. We know this basement, Ollie. Very, very tough to break down. The fact that I think Blue is pretty free, I would say, for Liquid. You know, no big rotates, only one man. Sure, there's a couple of prone holes that can be utilized. Actually, I think, was that Was that a rotate being made, perhaps, by a C4? I'm not sure what that was. I don't even know, though. Thunderbird tossed something. Don't know what it hit, though. But still, it looks as if that will be that blue take. Okay, they did make a C4 rotate. But it does give Zach some breathing room. He can retreat if he wants to.
Hornetau is going to be a very difficult player to deal with there, playing that shotgun at close range. Ask is going to hit the drop. There's a lot of punch holes in the wall opposite that leads into blue for him to try and contend with as well. But PSK is making short work of INTZ here before eventually being shut down. 3 versus 2, 3 versus 1 as VNX joins the party as well. Palu, he's left trying to swing on through. Bless him, recovers the diffuser, but there was only 2 seconds left on the clock. Tough situation to be in. Liquid not really getting a significant foothold into that site and essentially just funneling into that memorial hatch.
Yeah, just kind of choked up. Liquid run out of options big time. But then again, that is the basement. That's it, going to be locked out for INTZ, so this is where Liquid can really turn up the heat. It's going to be 2 definitely winnable bomb sites, has to be said, Ollie. Either or the gym bedroom or the cash room and CCTV. It's going to be difficult. Whenever Kaid is off the table, it makes attacking just a little bit easier. I think it really comes down to see how the catwalk players fare. We've seen resets. Had a really rough time, Ollie, in the catwalk whenever Liquid were playing here. I wonder if the catwalk player, for instance, is going to be better. I'd imagine it's probably going to be either the Wamai or the Jaeger that play up there.
This is the sort of comment that I brought up previously when we saw the Thunderbird being played in the previous game, where we were looking at and saying, you know, Thunderbird being played on the catwalk, you know, surely you would just bring the Wamai for that. And INTZ are going with that almost old-fashioned approach now at this point, where they're bringing both the Jaeger and the Wamai. You mentioned before, Demo, the change to the flashbangs. It's well worth bringing both now. You know, it was always worth it, but now you've got even more reason to do so. You can place those magnets in a way so that the flashbangs aren't going to be as big a factor. It's really something to sort of consider. And I think it's really going to help INTZ here in trying to hold on to that catwalk. It can be a very cruel place to play, but if you get it right, you can cause quite a big impact.
Liquid begin their take. We'll use that Maverick to drop that reinforced wall very easily. Don't have to worry about going below or eliminate bandits. You have the Maverick that can do that job for you extremely easily. And Zach, oh, gives himself up. Nesk on the repel. That was cheeky from Nesk. That is 1 catwalk player down. Still have to go through that Jaeger, of course, Ollie. So a lot of pressure, if we'd say, on Hornetau to really hold that as stiff as he can. But at the moment, Liquid, they're happy enough to get that first pick. They have the wall open, and they can just start formulating their second stage, which is going to be their garage take.
As I said, a cruel place to play. You can get taken out there, as Zach has been, and not a lot that you're going to be able to do about it. So many angles that can be checked and challenged. Hornetau has been droned there as well. The drone will remain. Reset's just trying to provide a ping, maybe looking at getting a nade on through. Vitz is just going to be hanging around at the bottom of blue stairs as well, so there are plenty of options here for INTZ to at least get a refrag onto this if somebody does choose to directly challenge the player on that garage catwalk. And with the time ticking, it's going to have to happen sooner rather than later.
Liquid moving in with the drone work. Ask to spot out the man and catwalk as they're ready to collapse him as well as they can. They will spot out Vitz. That's good information from Liquid. You can see Vitz now, he's panicking. He has to fall back and play towards blue. I think that's exactly where Liquid want him to be, and you have that information still from that live drone information being fed through. But Hornetau, they need to eliminate this Jaeger before they can even think of an execute. Garage needs to go. An ace charge will be tossed up to try and burn a Wamai disc, and that will happen. But Hornetau is prone, holding onto that stairs as best as he can, and he just lets the man walk right past him. Resets. I don't think he was ready for him. He was probably expecting Hornetau to show himself up sooner or later, but still Liquid will find the kill.
It's taken a long time, but Liquid have been able to finally break into that garage. PSK now looking to make an entrance. He's having a cracking game so far. 2 really big kills there coming in. VNX left at the top of Cash Stairs. It eventually accumulates in a flawless round there for Liquid. Palu doing the business as he pushes on through. A lot of time spent to clear out that player in garage, but in hindsight, it was all worth it. Liquid level things up here, 4 rounds apiece.
Great stuff from Liquid to get himself back on to equal footing. And straight away, INTZ, not mucking about. Straight for a new bomb site. See how this one plays out for them. Liquid also make a bit of a change. Flores comes into the fray of things, Ollie. They're going to drop a hard breach now. They will be bringing in those explosive drones that we know have just disastrous effects on defenders these days. You know, those Flores drones, Ollie, so powerful. Utility, the shields, Banshees are always going to be common. Just anything and everything that you need to be exploded. He has 4 of those drones to do so. Even
to, you know, rooting that player out at the top of Garage Catwalk, you know, you could get a Flores drone in there to assist in that. If the drone's going to explode right next to him, then guess what? They're going to have to move. So there's plenty of uses for the Rotero drones, and I think that it's maybe a good time for Liquid to bring them in. Palu really is sort of sticking to more of those support operators as opposed to his usual sort of flex roles that he fulfills. But not a lot of need to play a Sledge here on this map, and Sledge is one of the operators that Palu is most well known for, so it does give Liquid that flexibility to, you know, just do a little bit of something different. In terms of the hot targets, really, for those Flores drones inside of this round, it's going to be the deployable shields. INTZ are going to be bringing 2 in the form of VNX on the Frost and Drunks on the Smoke, so already there's a good couple of targets there for Liquid to aim for. Very quickly, they're going to get themselves into that CCTV room, as the wall has already been opened.
Wall open for Liquid, so they can formulate a plan. Nesk finds out a bit of information below inside of bar. Outside Hornet Tau, but equally, he will spot out that drone. Liquid going all in towards that CCTV room take. We'll have 2 minutes to go, so plenty of time, and I wonder what INTZ are up to. What are these 2 looking for? Hornet Tau and Vit lurking inside a kitchen corner, maybe after the buck perhaps, who is causing issues for Zach. It's forced him now to the top of red stairs, and that's not the most favorable position to be in, because then you can get pushed and being forced out by the Flores drones. Also, that window is a bit of an issue. Zach does have a bit of support. I like that rotate, though, for Vitzel, it has to be said. INTZ are realizing the attack plan from Liquid and are trying to support their team as well as they can, and they've done that. Hornet Tau with fine resets. Nesto does have the trade-off onto Vit, but still, I'm very impressed with how INTZ are taking the fight to Liquid, not giving them that free range.
INTZ still in a good position to try and keep hold of this one, despite being heavily chunked down. They've managed to burn quite a bit of time here, but they do have to be mindful of the fact that they can't play this aggressively forever. Liquid are eventually going to gain some of these power positions, and Nesk is already occupying one of them along with Ask, playing outside on the balcony. Now they can start to gather a little bit more information. Paolo has already used a couple of Rotero drones to great effect, and it looks as though he's going to get away with another. I can't remember a time that we've seen a player get all 4 drones used and exploded. Typically, a couple of them are at least going to get shot. It's obviously feeling the pinch here. Liquid have been able to remove a great deal of utility. Nesk just going to hit a final reload before the 30 seconds that are left in the round commence. Nade's now going to take the way on through into the site as well and just force the players from INTZ back even further. Drunks, he got a glimpse, but he's got too many angles to check, and he can't just be preoccupied with the window. Zach still playing on the main stairs, could provide a little bit of cover, but as the kills start to come in, they are going to go down in favor here of INTZ. 2 kills either side. The Frostmat coming in clutch at the end there as well. Great round from INTZ. Scrappy stuff, but they managed to hold on.
Great stuff from it, has to be said. Like I mentioned, I love the fact that they analyzed the positionings of some of those attackers. You look at the Buck going below, trying to just ruin the Jaeger's day, who was trying to hold down Cash. They realized this. They sent 2 players downstairs who, at that point, weren't really doing anything. You know, what's the point of just hanging them on site if you know Liquid are formulating their attack, moving in towards that Cash room side? And they were not afraid to take those gunfights and really delay Liquid and kind of throw them off guard. So I have to give my commendations to INTZ. Great round being played by the defenders.
INTZ have done very well here, and those 3 rounds that they were able to gain on attack are starting to look like they could provide a very crucial win condition for them here. Currently sitting 5 rounds to 4. They get to go back downstairs into the basement. I'll be honest, Demo, I'm low-key seeing this go INTZ's way. With the game that we've got left in front of us, the sites that they've got available to them, it's looking pretty good.
It is. I think there's a big possibility now for them to sit here perhaps 6-4. I mean, like we said about the basement, Ollie, it is so difficult to break into. And Liquid, I think, we've seen they struggled. They looked stunned, especially whenever they were losing the first pick. Again, Resets, just, he hasn't found his game. It hasn't been his day, Ollie. And it is something we can highlight. You look at Liquid. Ask, Nesk, PSK, Polu, all doing their thing, apart from Resets. You look at INTZ. Look at the kills in INTZ.
Yep.
All 5 of them are doing something. And that's a big difference. Because you're kind of going from 5v5 to, I'd say, 4.5 versus 5. And that half makes a big difference.
It certainly does, and, you know, Resets could have been on this roster for 3 years and we'd still have to call it out as saying, you know, they've not had a very good game.
Yep.
It isn't that he's new, it isn't that he's being compared to anybody else. It is just that, you know, 1-7 off a Book player and a Vigil player, not ideal, not a great position to be in. Also says a lot when PSK's top frag, you know, currently sitting at 10 kills in a roster that's got Palu and Nesk in it. So, you know, PSK is a great player, not taking anything away from him, but he's playing on the Thermite and he's turning it into the Fragmite. How many rounds have we seen that he's just completely opened up? He's very much a right place at the right time kind of player. And if he gets 1, he typically will grab himself 2. Liquid are looking a little bit more energized inside of this round, though. Resets is still looking to make a nuisance of himself upstairs in the kitchen. He's using that skeleton key to rip open the majority of the floor. Bits playing below. You've got to be mindful of that Alder. Floor beams or not, that thing will spray and will land a good couple of shots in onto Resets, just giving him something to think about.
So Liquid starting to formulate their attack towards blue. You can see Nesk eliminating barbed wire. I'm sure he'll move in with the stuns also. But there is still plenty of ADSs stuck inside of blue for the Jaeger. Liquid actually going to drop into Moto, and already with a minute still left, they will start to open up that triple wall using the Maverick. It will be called out by INTZ, and now they're also going to fire in the Ace charges to open up that triple wall, and 8 also bounces off, and Ask will find his man. Hornatow goes down. Selma charges, explode, and now Drunks is in such a tough position to be in. Liquid have went all in for this church wall, and it's working so well for them. Vix responds with 1 kill onto Resets, and Ask with another though onto Zax, who's still Liquid in the lead. And Nesk, we've seen him lurking around blue earlier, Ollie, and now he will make his pounce, and he finds his kill. Vix with that LMG in hand had some information to play off, but there's just too many players up for him. Will find Palu, but this is where the flood will start to engage, and there's Nesk. As expected, Liquid on the basement will finally get their round that they need.
Liquid managed to break that defense. It's a very crucial round indeed. It keeps things competitive here. It keeps things level at 5 rounds apiece. But they're not out of the woods just yet. INTZ are going to go back down to that basement. They are going to give it another go. Couple of things that didn't really go too well for INTZ there inside of that round is I feel like they gave a lot of control away very early. I think INTZ were of the mindset of, we're downstairs in the basement, we're just going to stack the site here and we're going to make this work. And that wasn't ideal. It wasn't the best situation to be in. You notice how much time's available here. Even at the point of the last kill coming through, there's still 20 seconds left on the clock before that plant does go down. And that's because Liquid had such a large amount of time to be working with because they had no roam presence to deal with.
So, now we gear up for, yet again, another basement defense for INTZ. I wonder if we'll actually see the defense go just a little bit more aggro. I mean, I liked the round whenever they were defending Jim Ollie, and they didn't let Liquid just have the time to set up. I think Liquid are a team where if you get the kills early, it shakes them quite a bit. I think we've seen that. We've seen a few rounds where, you know, we have to mention him again, Ollie resets, gets opening picked, and Liquid are kind of stunned.
It certainly would benefit INTZ to have a little bit more of a presence out there, and it looks as though that's what they're going for here. I like it. It speaks of a lot of confidence that these guys have got moving into this round. Just give Liquid something to deal with. Give them a problem or two to solve. Let's try and slow them down a little bit, because it wasn't a great deal of time that was the big deciding factor there inside of that round. Hornetau's playing such a risky game here. Going to be inside a lounge. Nade's going to come through there from Ask, but he's already managed to make that rotation upstairs. The very fact that the decision from Hornetau was to rotate up instead of rotate down is a great thing here. It shows that INTZ are really looking to burn as much time as possible, and they've already taken away over a minute.
Yeah, I think Liquid very, very quick to the mark, and INTZ, I mean, you can see there's still plenty of roamers, but Liquid, they're starting to formulate where they want to try and stem these attacks from, and obviously, yes, the defenders are going to take a lot of time away from Liquid. That's definitely going to be a fact, but, I mean, if Liquid, if they take 2 minutes and they find 3 kills with losing nobody, I mean, it doesn't matter how much time they have left, just flood the bomb site with whatever you've got left, and hopefully that diffuser sticks. So, I mean, Liquid, let's try and get a move on and find some of these kills. When that time starts to take away from them, we know what the basement can do, and INTZ are going to be in a great position. VNX, he's just going to sit tight. I think VNX really at this stage, he's happy enough to die for the cause. If he finds just a single kill, that is going to be absolutely worth it. Hornetau, you seen the man and you decide to walk away. Ask gets gifted an absolute freebie. I mean, Ask, I think today, Ollie's really stepped up big time, currently equaling PSK, but VNX keeps on going. He's not afraid of anyone from Liquid, and Ask will get the refrag, but Ollie, the damage, it's been done.
It really has. VNX has potentially single-handedly won the round there for INTZ. There's 40 seconds left remaining. You can never count Liquid out, especially when it's Nesk and Palu that remain. A couple of nades in Nesk's hand as well. He's going to be able to nade out at the back of Generator. He's playing on the Iana, so can potentially gather himself a little bit of information if he's got a Gemini clone available as well. But INTZ are now looking to try and play very safe indeed. Liquid split up. Ness going to be pushing himself down blue. Palu down the main stairs. Zach, what timing, what positioning. Ness got too many angles to check and couldn't check both of them. Palu, you mind or not, he's going to find one onto Vitz. He does have the diffuser. There's 1 second left. He can go for a plant. And INTZ now know that it is time to make that move. Drunks is going to push on through, but Zach will beat him to it, as they were beautifully trying to time that pinch. Player as dangerous as Palu, you cannot give him an inch, and they certainly didn't. INTZ, they put themselves onto a match point.
Match point now for INTZ. But, Ollie, they have to go to an upstairs bomb site, which hasn't maybe been the greatest for them. They will look as if they're going to lock in for the gym and bedroom, which they have won in the past. So that's going to be a good chance for them now. So all pressure on Liquid, all eyes on them. I mean, if Liquid walk away with no points, Ollie, that is an upset. No matter which way you look at it, it is an upset.
It's a big upset, and you know, you think about this in the context of the standings, it would put FaZe that little bit further in the lead. Obviously, FaZe picked up full 3 points today. Liquid, the best they're going to be able to walk away from this one with is 2 points now. Already that gap does start to largen once again. So, Liquid, they need to really focus in. Obviously, put that to the back of the mind. It isn't crucial right here and now. They're still locked into those, you know, first and second place spots, depending on how the rest of the season goes. I think mathematically it'd be very difficult for them to drop anywhere below sort of fourth, but Realistically, they're going to want to try and finish as high as they can, and INTZ have given them a very good run for the money here. I think INTZ have surprised a lot of people. This is the game that we've been waiting for all weekend, Demo. You know, we've seen potentially we're going to see an overtime here, and that's exactly what we want to see here on the BR6. Gone are the Stomps, gone are the 7-0s. INTZ, they have turned up here, and they've turned up with one thing on their mind, and that is to walk away with some points here versus Liquid. And so far, they're doing just exactly that. Guaranteed 1. Best they can come away with is 3, and the pressure really is on now. See how Liquid approach this attack.
No roamers at the moment from INTZ, and one thing that obviously we liked last time all the way from the gym and bedroom was we're not afraid to go for that late roam game and take the fight to Liquid, not give Liquid that full control. Liquid look as if they're going to try and go for pretty much the same execute. They're going to try and open up in towards the server, and then finally push their way into cash room. And once again, INTZ have set up very appropriately for that. Set up their shields on top red. They have the Renegates also trying to assist them and take away what utility that Liquid have. And Liquid have a few bits of utility. Obviously, Sophia brings a lot with her kit, and then flashbangs and nades also are going to be there. Also rotating over, opening up in towards Jacuzzi. Now they have another point of access that they want to go for. So Liquid, I think perhaps Ollie maybe trying to leave the cash room guys and go all in their gym. And Resets is just going to try and play flank watch.
It is risky. You need to do something about those players inside of cash, but it can be fairly costly to do so. Previously, when we saw this round, everything went down in and around the logistics area. So maybe that's going to be a big focus here. Try and keep a hold of Nesk. What about that for game sense? Shuts Hornetow down. Hornetow was going for a cheeky one there, but I'm not sure what he was thinking. Challenging that with the SMG-11. That's a very long angle to be working with. Unless he was running the MP5K. I didn't actually get a glimpse before he perished, but still, opening pick here going in Liquid's favour. Nesk can now operate with even more surety on those windows. He can look to try and make something happen. Selma there being used to try and shut down that wall that's in between gym and bedroom as 2 further kills fly on through. I really get the impression we're going to an overtime here. VNX being the sole survivor. He is 1 versus 5 inside of logistics, and there's still 30 seconds left. He has now been droned, and it is surely only a matter of time. Taking no chances, Ask will start to put that diffuser down, but Paolu has a taste for blood, and he is going to satisfy that. Picks up that final kill and guarantees us an overtime here.
Will get us into OT. So both teams gain points, but also both teams will drop points today, Ollie. That is a guarantee for us. Who will take 2? Who will take 1? Only one way to find out, and that is to strap ourselves in for these next potential 3 rounds of overtime if we get to it. So Liquid being on the attack. I mean, at the moment it does sit 3 rounds apiece on attack and defense for either side, so it has been very, very even as we go. But it will be a basement defense for INTZ. INTZ, they did win the first time they went here, but the second time didn't work as well for them. Liquid formulated a great church take, and I wonder if they can do that same thing again, because that is what's worked for them.
Liquid showed a lot more confidence in the round that they won here, I think, Demo, and that was the big sort of takeaway, wasn't it? We got resets despite him being 1 and 9 currently. He was in, opening up all that floor inside of kitchen. Removed the ability for the players to from the side of INTZ to sit in there, and as you say, the church wall was opened, and it was a well executed push. Something that Liquid are doing very well at the moment on their attacks is they're actually making great use of the clock, and they're not leaving things until the last few seconds. They're getting everything done nice and early, and again, the last round was a really good example of that. There was 20-30 seconds remaining as VNX is in the 1 versus 4 and the plant's already going down, so they're just giving themselves so much time in the later part of the game. And I guess one of the reasons maybe why I'm stressing it so much is the games that we've seen so far this weekend and last weekend as a whole. A lot of teams have been really using every single second and often finding themselves cut a little bit short. Now, Liquid were a team that used to do that as well, but I don't think that they've necessarily got that capability anymore, given that they've had a couple of roster changes and they've recognised that, and they've actually sped things up quite significantly.
What about speed. That is what it's all about for Liquid right now. Get in, get the job done as quick as you can. See how things play out now. Of course, we're going to be having the issues that I think Liquid ran into last time, Ollie, and that was, of course, the roamers. We've seen big plays from VNX and the Alibi last time. I wonder if he's going to be able to recreate that. But Liquid don't look as if they're interested. They already have somebody down pretty deep into the dirt tunnel. Don't tell me we're going to see a quick rush.
Certainly possible. PSK in a very dangerous position right now. He's got himself into that dirt tunnel already. Nesk is inside of blue and causing a nuisance. This time playing on the Ash. Looking for a little bit more speed and aggression. Drunk's going to use a Toxic Babe canister to cut off any further push through blue. But PSK is still providing quite the threat. Now his location will be known here. He did take out a Banshee inside of dirt tunnel, so INTZ are going to be aware of that, but the kills do start to come, and they continue to come in for Nesk. Finds himself one onto Hornetal. Drunk's desperately trying to hold on to that doorway, but he too will be shut down. Resets, can he chain the second together? No, but PSK can. In there with a brilliant refrag. VNX again, 1v4, as he does take down Nesk, but the plant is being confirmed. Hits the reload. Has a fighting chance here. It isn't a big one, but he has a fighting chance. Ask is most likely going to make that rotation, and he will do just exactly that. Finds the plant, grabs the kill. Match point once again here, but this time for Liquid.
Yeah, Liquid winning the basement once again. I think Liquid have realized is don't go into the rumors, just hit them on sight and almost expose them, similar to what FaZe did earlier, Ollie. Yeah. I think a very similar take that we've kind of witnessed there. All of it formulating on the players inside of blue getting their kills, the dirt pressure also. And I think Liquid were very wise to wait until that last smoke grenade was gone. You could see Liquid, they were getting smoked out. They knew that was going to delay things. I think whenever we see Nesk get that first kill in blue, at that stage you would probably expect everyone to flood in. Ask was ready with that diffuser just to flood into the bomb site, but I think they were very wise in just waiting and slowing down. I think at that stage, the Thermite and Dirt, he was smoked off, he couldn't assist, and they really relied on that Dirt player being on that door frame to get the refrag, cut off an angle or two, whatever it is that he needs to do. So yeah, Liquid, just playing with the time, like you mentioned, quicker is a lot better for Liquid, and I think they proved that.
Sounds like someone that's like really obsessed with cars or something like that. But you're just like, quick is better. Like, quicker is always better.
Always better.
It's true, though. There are a few occasions where slow is better. I can't even think of one.
I can name a few.
Well, this game hasn't been as quick as previous games, but I mean, this game's probably a good example of that, isn't it? You know, we've had a lot of quick games that have been, they've been great to watch, but this has been a real good back and forth. It's been a little bit slower, but it's been a little bit better.
So, INTZ now, all pressure is all of a sudden shifted onto their backs, because now they're staring down the barrel off one round and they're done. And they have to also attack a basement, which has been pretty successful for Liquid, it has to be said. They've won 2 defenses down here before on their starting half, so does look good for them. How do INTZ want to play it out? That is the question. Lineup hasn't changed, really. I mean, both sides have played very similar in terms of lineups, and also I would say similar to how FaZe and Black Dragons, what they were bringing to the lineups. We're seeing the triple hard breach come in again. We're seeing the Buck. We're seeing the Sophia be brought in. So I'd say a lot of the Brazil teams playing Clubhouse very similar.
Palu just being given the option there to drop down the hatch, and he will do just exactly that. He gets himself out of dodge, back down into church. Little bit of an extension in the early part of that round, and he's gone out there and he's wasted a little bit of time, maybe hunted out a couple of drones. But now it gives INTZ plenty of time to start opening up these hatches. They're going to start with the bar hatch that drops into Memorial. Dunks is going to be hot on that task. Still potential for a bit of impact trick action if Nesk is in position. But the typical pushes that we've seen have been in the dirt tunnel, inside of blue, and a little bit inside of Memorial and that bar hatch drop that we've just seen open. So Not sure if the kitchen hatch is going to be pressured here by INTZ, although they do have the means to do so.
Liquid kind of resorting back to what we've seen work for them, where they're all very anchored in sight, relying very heavily on impact, tricking in towards kitchen hatch, which again is where INTZ are struggling with. You can see INTZ now, they're going to have to be forced into church and moto drop, and also in towards blue. Bit of utility. Oh, that's going to be rough. Unfortunately for Drunks, he misses one of his nades. The utility being wasted, but in fact, you see so many people just stacked up in towards armor. It gives them a lot of movement, and that's exactly what happens with Nesk. Drunkso appears with 2 kills, and into Moto they start to flood. Vitz will find 1, and now Nesk and is going to be Ask all by themselves, but Nesk does not last very, very long, and Ask now, the new boy, 1 versus 3. What can he do? Not a lot. Vitz with the long angle. INTZ respond, Ollie, with their own basement attack.
Great attack coming in there from INTZ. They were able to really isolate the players on the side of Liquid. Nothing going down as a trade in those final 3 kills. 7-7, maximum overtime. I don't think many people would have looked at this fixture, me included, and would have ever dreamed of it going to a max OT, yet here we are, and it's one of the reasons why Clubhouse is one of the more exciting maps to watch, regardless of how many times we've seen it, because it is such a level playing field. There are so many opportunities, and INTZ have taken their fair share of these opportunities here tonight, so much so that they've got themselves into a very favourable position indeed. Do get the benefit of going back down on the defense. They also get the benefit of going into Church and Arsenal. Now, I'm still going to call it a benefit demo, but it's not unbreakable now, and we've seen that proved by both sides.
Yeah, weaknesses definitely on the basement, which is surprising that we're not seeing the defenders just consistently win this bomb site time after time after time, but here we go with another basement defense, the last one off this matchup. It's too close to call. I really don't know where it's going to go. This is difficult. It's looking to set up again with this upstairs hole, but Ollie, they got exposed from that side of the map. Liquid were very quickly down into blue and hit dirt extremely fast, and they really did not care about the roamers whatsoever. So it is going to be interesting to see how not only Liquid will they go for the same strategy, but I think more so will it actually react if they're seeing everyone rush down blue, if they're seeing everyone rush down in toward dirt tunnel. Are the roamers going to be back to site quick enough?
I think it's the right play from INTZ. There's obviously, as you mentioned, the chance of are they going to be able to make that rotation quick enough? How much is this going to really realistically cost them? But I feel like they've just got to do something to remove a little bit of time away from Liquid. Liquid are so good on the clock, and you've got to give yourself as good an opportunity as you can to do that. Think about VNX in the previous round. He had a great run inside of this site, playing in those off-site locations. Hornatow potentially has heard the drop there. You could see him calling it out there for Zach. Hornatow's borderline baited him out there, and also borderline played a blinder in terms of getting that trade. Not only was he able to get that trade coming back 1-for-1, but he was also able to remove the Maverick. Crucial key in the puzzle. Okay, less so given that the hatches aren't going to be caded, but still a couple of nades gone and a nice easy way to open hatches removed. Now, VNX is going to fall. He does deal a chunk of damage into resets, but it isn't going to be enough. So the roam game so far probably goes in favor of Liquid.
Yeah, resets did very well there. 3 and 11 for him, but if he shows up in the last round, Ollie, that's all that matters. 4 players on Liquid, all hitting above double digits. That is unheard of. You never see that in a game of Siege, but here we are. So Liquid, definitely in the driving seat. Still need a bit more drone work done, I would say, because look who's waiting for them, Hornatow, at the bottom of main stairs, and will be scared off, though, with the back opening right above him. Would have done well to clear out any real issues. Could be there that caused them that. They have opened up in towards Moto, so Church take is more than likely what they're going to try and opt for. Liquid will also open in towards blue, just to give them another option. If they want to push down in towards blue once again, we know Nesk has really favored that position, then by all means they can do so. This is still looking sketchy for INTZ, I feel. Only 30 seconds to go. Liquid, what do they have in store?
Liquid are really giving themselves as many options as they can here. They're going to open up Dirt Tunnel as well. Resets still only one shot away, and Nade does get desperately thrown on up by Vitz, but it's going to be Hornet out and the shotgun to eventually shut Resets down. Now that barricade is fantastic, but it isn't going to be enough. Palu finds one, 2 kills come back in response. Hornet out, 2 kills, 1 clip, SMG 11. That is going to be enough to sign the game over toward INTZ. What a performance, and what a way for it all to come down.
Big upset from INTZ, being able to take down Liquid. What a play at the end. Liquid, just the time got away from them in that final round. Again, 4 players on INTZ now hitting double digits, Ollie. We have 8 players in one lobby, all above 10 kills. That's insane.
Incredible stuff. Especially given the context of that game. I think that INTZ can hold their heads extremely high. The way that they were able to overcome a couple of the problems that Liquid were posing to them, very commendable indeed. Liquid were doing so well on the clock, and that was the key area that INTZ chose to really affect onto. You can just see how much this means to those guys. Look at them all throwing their headsets down, jumping up, hitting that team huddle. That's going to be a great feeling, Demo.
Yeah, it is 100%. I mean, INTZ definitely deserve it today. I think they put in a real shift from head to toe. It went right down to the wire, and, well, it looked as if that Liquid and INTZ, they definitely got the script for what is supposed to happen today. We have a full max OT after a bit of a slow start. Well, maybe a bit of a fast start, I suppose. 7-0 is how it went down, but yeah, just what a matchup.
Great game. Chunks, get yourself back in here. I hope that you're still awake. That was a bit of a long one, given what we used to.
Yeah, it was a pretty long one. It was a marathon, but I mean, INTZ definitely earned that one with the way that they were playing right there. So well done from them. It felt like things were starting to slip once we got to maybe the 2/3 mark. Liquid started clawing those rounds back, but I mean, INTZ just did such a good job there. Really impressive to see the fact that they did have that confidence coming up against such a high-level squad. And I do want to ask, Ollie, it's something we touched on earlier before the game. When you are a team like INTZ, you are the underdogs, people don't expect you to win. Of course, as a spectator, it's so much more impressive when you do see these underdog teams win. Is it that pressure aspect, do you think? Because they definitely played like they were against a team that they didn't really care how things went at times.
I think that they've probably gone in with a level expectation. Obviously, we've mentioned earlier that Liquid are a newer team at the moment. They've changed 2 players. That's a really big change. And I think that INTZ have gone in mindful of that, and they've been able to, really, work around some of the changes that have been forced upon to Liquid due to them making roster changes. We don't often get to see Palu playing hard support. And that, that's not the reason that Liquid lost. It came down to one round. There's any number of rounds there that could have gone either way. But INTZ came in with a level opportunity. A map like Clubhouse is always going to present a really good chance for you to be able to come away with something. And INTZ, they can hold their heads high with the way that they performed today. I feel like some of their little micro adjustments were fantastic round to round. And something that stood out throughout start to finish of the entire game was their ability to trade off one another.
Absolutely. I think the micro adjustments from both teams was really impressive right there, wasn't it, Demo? Because it feels like, obviously, both teams, obviously with Liquid being a fairly newer roster, not too many VODs to review, but also INTZ coming off of the off-season, only having played 1 game so far in Stage 3. It maybe allowed them to change strategies a bit, made it a bit harder for Liquid to review the VOD. So I think that when we come down to being in the game and being able to make those adjustments, both teams did extremely well there.
Yeah, it was a good game in terms of maybe reading into the VODs and stuff, I don't know if that has too much impact. I think whenever you're in that kind of game, I think both teams had enough rounds there to really kind of see each other out and really, figure out what each side was going to do. I mean, it was an even game, 3-3 on either half for both sides. That just shows how close it is. So I think the adaptation game was very good today from both sides. I think INTZ just did it just a little bit better today.
Yeah, I mean, look, one thing that I definitely notice is something that we've seen from Liquid with the newer roster. They've been a little bit more aggressive, haven't they, Ollie? But it feels like INTZ kind of counteracted the way that Liquid were playing today. Liquid definitely playing a bit more of a passive game than it feels like we've seen in the previous weeks. Would you agree with that one?
I think that INTZ certainly matched a lot of the aggression that they were seeing on the defense when INTZ were defending. They were happy to meet Liquid out in the field, as it were. And yeah, I think that, probably one of the parts of Liquid maybe looking a little bit less aggressive is potentially resets. It's something we highlighted during the broadcast and during the game. I think, did he end up on 2 kills, 3 kills, something like that in a max OT game? It ain't great, it's a severe lack there, and obviously that was bolstered by his team. 4 of the guys were over 10 kills. I think Nesk finished on 14, maybe 15 kills. So for players that I was really wanting to keep an eye out on moving into that game, I think Nesk performed really well. I think, he wasn't at his dizzying heights that we know him to be, but that's not always easy to maintain. But he certainly put in a good shift, as did PSK. I think he's probably had one of the best games that I can remember him having there inside of that game, but it just wasn't quite enough. And on the flip side, you look over toward INTZ, there was a very equal contribution there, and that obviously really helps. They're not relying on any one player to make a big hero play. Although shout out to VNX, that round that he had an alibi when he was defending upstairs in gym was pretty special.
Yeah, it's always good seeing players make those heroes plays, but at the same time, it does put the team at a bit of a risk, doesn't it, Demo, sometimes, where you have one player who's going out making these hero plays. If they go down early in a round, it almost feels like the team are a bit worse for wear at times. I think the fact that INTZ had that balance really worked to their advantage, that if they did lose a player early, it wasn't the end of the world because everyone was pulling their weight.
Yeah, INTZ in those roam games weren't too aggressive. They kind of sat back and let Liquid just play their game, and I think again, Liquid perhaps, maybe information really caught them by surprise today. Just want to come back to Ollie's point about resets. You're bringing in resets to fill that void of the aggression that maybe Liquid were lacking. Liquid were a very reserved team whenever we seen them with Moringa and Sexy Cake. It was a very formulated plan. They hit you like a ton of bricks, but maybe if things didn't go to plan, they would maybe kind of stumble over each other. And they're bringing in these 2 new players to give them that aggression. I think Ask was great today. Superb performance from the young guy. But Reset's just leaving a lot to be desired, I would say. I think today, if he had been a little bit more better with his gun skill, I mean, if you're being brought in for those aggressive plays, you need to make up for it. You can't be relying on Paulo every game. I know he's a genius, but you can't rely on him on every game.
No, it's a rough one, and you know what? Really well played there for INTZ. Liquid as well going the distance, but it just wasn't enough this time around. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with game number 3 of the evening.